It was a Tuesday, July 6, 2025. The sun was bright over Masonville, Oregon. Danielle Harper started her morning like any other early run, blue jacket, a kiss for her husband, Mark. She always followed the same path, Elm Street past the park, looping by the old library. But that day she never came back. Her routine was supposed to keep her safe. Instead, it led her somewhere no one could find her. Hours passed. Mark's worry turned to panic. Neighbors searched, police arrived. Danielle was gone. The day's ordinariness became cruel. The sun kept shining, birds kept singing, but for the Harper family, the world had stopped. 7:15 a.m. The moment Danielle walked out the door and vanished. In Masonville, people like Danielle Harper don't just disappear, but on this day, she did. And nothing would ever be the same. Police scoured security footage. There she was, Danielle jogging in her blue jacket at 7:23 a.m. Minutes later, a white windowless van crept down the street. It circled twice, then stopped ahead of Danielle's path. Benjamin Marks, a neighbor, saw the van. He looked away for a moment. When he looked back, both Danielle and the van were gone. The only clues: Danielle's keys and water bottle on the grass, her phone and smartwatch missing. Days later, her smartwatch was found in a ditch, wiped clean, except for a single corrupted audio file, a muffled scream, a heavy door sliding shut. The van became the focus. No plates, no trace. Every white van in 50 miles was checked. Nothing. The most promising lead was a dead end. Danielle's last moments were a ghostly blur on camera, and the van, a phantom. The investigation stalled, haunted by what little evidence remained. The town waited, desperate for answers, but the trail was already cold, and Danielle was still missing. With no progress, investigators looked for patterns and found Alina Voss, missing 3 years earlier, 60 miles away. Alina was also a morning runner, vanished on a quiet street. Her keys were found, but her phone and watch were gone. A witness saw a suspicious car, not a van but a dark sedan, lingering nearby. The similarities were chilling: 2 women, 2 routines, 2 disappearances. Police joined forces, suspecting a serial abductor, careful, patient, forensically aware. Wiped devices, no DNA, generic vehicles. This was no impulsive crime. But the connection brought no new answers, only more fear, and the realization that whoever did this had done it before and might do it again. 2 families waited, united by loss and uncertainty, and the mystery deepened. The case of Danielle Harper remains a shadow over Masonville, unsolved, unanswered, and ever-present. The white van, gone without a trace, as if it never existed at all. The corrupted audio file is all that's left, a chilling echo offering no answers. For her family, time stands still, every room, every object, a reminder of the moment she vanished. Her shoes wait by the door. Her room remains untouched, frozen in hope and heartbreak. Hope lingers, but so does pain. Each day without answers deepens the wound. Masonville is changed. Streets once familiar now feel uncertain, haunted by what's missing. Runners move together, glancing over shoulders, trust replaced by caution. Danielle's blue jacket, once ordinary, now marks faded flyers, a symbol of unanswered questions. Her face stares out from posters, a silent plea that the town cannot ignore. The investigation is a puzzle, pieces missing, motives unclear, hope fading. The search goes on, but silence grows heavier. Each day the mystery deepens. And so Masonville waits, haunted by questions, longing for answers, and hoping Danielle Harper will one day return. The town of Masonville is haunted not just by memories, but by the voices of those who saw and heard, each carrying their own piece of the puzzle. First, Mrs. Langley, Danielle's neighbor for over a decade. I saw her that morning. She waved to me, just like always. But there was a man in a baseball cap by the corner. He wasn't from here. He stared too long, like he was waiting for something. Next, Tyler, a high school classmate. I swear I heard Danielle's voice calling my name on the trail. But when I turned, there was no one, just the sound of branches snapping. It didn't feel right, like I was being watched. Deputy Ramos, first responder. We found footprints in the mud, 2 sets. But halfway down the path, one set just stopped, like whoever it was vanished into thin air. I've never seen anything like it. Finally, Emily, Danielle's best friend. She texted me, "I'm almost there," but she never arrived. I called and someone answered. They didn't say anything, just breathing. It still gives me nightmares. Each account adds another layer, contradicting, deepening, unsettling. The truth is fractured, scattered among those left behind. And as night falls over Masonville, the mystery of Danielle Harper becomes more tangled, more haunting, and more impossible to forget. Investigator 1, male, steady. Transcript log, Masonville PD, case file 1421. Subject, Danielle Harper, date April 17, 10:03 a.m. Investigator 2, female, tense. Let's start with the trail camera footage. At 8:41 a.m., Danielle enters the west path. 34 seconds later, the unidentified male follows. Cap pulled low, face, brief static, unidentifiable. Investigator 1. Can we enhance the image? Run it against missing persons or Investigator 3, interrupting, frustrated. Already tried, no matches. And the timestamp on Danielle's phone stops at 8:52 a.m. GPS just cuts out. Investigator 2. This is the last call received by Emily Carter. You can hear breathing. Background noise, possibly footsteps, wind, no speech. We've isolated the audio, but Investigator 4, muffled, anxious. What about the mud prints? 2 sets, then 1 disappears. It doesn't make sense. Was someone carried? Did they double back? Investigator 1. Or something else. The prints just stopped like someone was lifted off the ground, or Investigator 2, redacted. We have to consider all possibilities, abduction, voluntary disappearance, but then why the call, why the breathing? Investigator 3. Nothing at the lake, nothing at the train tracks. Investigator 4. We searched for hours. Investigator 1. Every lead turns to dust. Every clue, a dead end. In the cold fluorescence of the station, theories clash, and evidence blurs. The voices of the investigators echo the same questions that haunt Masonville. Where is Danielle Harper, and what really happened on that vanished morning? Days after the search stalled, Masonville PD received a nondescript envelope, no return address. Inside, a memory card, a note scrawled in frantic, uneven letters. Listen, she's not alone. The audio begins with static, then faintly, a voice, distorted, layered over itself. Words unclear, but the cadence is unmistakable. Danielle's voice whispering, "Not safe, don't follow." Forensics run spectral analysis. The background noise, neither wind nor footsteps. It pulses like mechanical breathing, echoing a pattern found nowhere else in the evidence. Then, a final anomaly. The timestamp on the audio 8:53 a.m., 1 minute after Danielle's phone went dark, 1 minute after every trace of her vanished. Each new clue fractures the truth further. Cryptic warnings, impossible noises, coordinates that lead in circles. In Masonville, evidence doesn't bring answers, only more shadows. A week after the audio surfaced, Masonville's streets are quiet, but the investigation churns on in back rooms and sleepless minds. The detectives' board is crowded with maps, red strings, and now, one more piece. A local hiker, combing the woods for answers, stumbles on a battered, decades-old camcorder. The tape inside is warped, but salvageable. Grainy footage flickers to life. A girl, not Danielle, but someone eerily similar. Same clearing, same terrified glance at the camera. The timestamp, 1987. She whispers the same warning, "Not safe, don't follow." Cross-referenced with Danielle's last known location, the coordinates match exactly. 2 disappearances, 37 years apart. Then, in the final seconds of the tape, the camera pans shakily to the trees. There in the background, a blurred figure, motionless, watching. Its outline is wrong, too tall, too thin. The footage cuts to black. Investigators freeze the last frame and enhance it. The shape in the trees wears Danielle's missing jacket. The case file grows thicker, but the questions multiply. Who was the girl from 1987? What connects these 2 disappearances? And who or what is lurking in the woods, waiting for the next loop to begin? In Masonville, the past and present are stitched together by shadows, and the tape keeps rolling. A week after the discovery of the 1987 tape, a new voice breaks the silence. A witness who claims to have seen Danielle well after the hour she was last reported missing. Her name is Marjorie Hale, a retired nurse who lives on the edge of the woods. Marjorie's statement is calm, unwavering. She recalls stepping out onto her porch in the early morning hours long after the search parties had given up for the night. Through the mist, she saw a girl matching Danielle's description, barefoot, her hair tangled and face streaked with dirt. But Danielle wasn't alone, she was walking with someone. A man, or maybe a woman, tall, thin, wearing a coat that hung all wrong. I couldn't see the face. It was blurred, somehow, like it didn't belong. Marjorie describes how Danielle never looked up, never called for help. Instead, she walked as if in a trance, her hand clasped tightly in the stranger's grip. As they reached the tree line, Danielle paused. For a moment, Marjorie swears the girl turned to look directly at her, eyes wide, mouth silently moving as if to speak a warning. Then the pair vanished into the woods without a sound. This account throws the official timeline into chaos. If Marjorie is telling the truth, Danielle was alive and not alone. Long after the world thought she'd disappeared, the searchers combed the wrong places. The sightings, the warnings, the echoes from the past, none of it fits anymore. Investigators returned to the scene searching for footprints for any sign that Marjorie's vision was more than a trick of the fog, but the ground is undisturbed, no tracks, no clues, only the lingering sense that someone, or something, is always watching from the trees in Masonville. Certainty grows scarcer by the hour. And for the first time, even the investigators begin to wonder what if Danielle was never really lost but led away, into the waiting dark. The official records tell one story, but sometimes what's left out speaks louder than what's written. Tonight, we reveal a leaked police transcript, never meant for public ears, that cracks the case wide open. Detective 1, voice tight. You can't just bury the call, Mark. The phone rang at 2:14 a.m. That's an hour after the woods were cleared. Who took it? Detective 2, defensive. It was nothing. A prank. We get dozens of those. Detective 1. Then why isn't it in the log? Why is the tape missing from evidence? Detective 3, interjecting. Enough. We're not here to chase ghosts. The chief wants this closed. Detective 1, voice shaking. You know what was on that call. You heard it too. The girl's voice, crying for help, and then that noise, like static, but wrong. Detective 2, quiet. We were told to drop it. Detective 1. By who, and what about the coat, the one found by the river? Why isn't that logged anywhere? Detective 3. This is above us now, let it go. The transcript ends there. No official report ever mentions the mysterious phone call at 2:14 a.m. or the coat found by the river's edge. Never entered into evidence, never spoken of again. What else has been hidden? How many answers are lost, locked away in files marked confidential, or whispered between officers in late-night exchanges? As the cracks widen, one thing is clear. The truth about Danielle's disappearance is more tangled, and more guarded, than anyone dared to imagine. Just when the case seemed buried beneath secrets and silence, a new discovery jolts everyone back into uncertainty. 2 months after the search was called off, a hiker stumbles upon something half buried in the undergrowth. Miles away from the original search area, it's a shirt, blood-stained, torn, the pattern unmistakable, the same one Danielle wore the night she vanished. Police tape flutters in the wind as investigators swarm the remote clearing. Camera flashes illuminate the grim find. Danielle's mother stands at the edge, clutching her husband's arm, her face a mask of hope and dread. An officer kneels, carefully bagging the shirt, hands shaking despite years on the job. Detectives whisper urgently, "How did this shirt end up here? Why wasn't it found before? Unless someone moved it. And what about the blood? Is it Danielle's or someone else's?" As forensic teams comb the area for more clues, the family watches in anguish. The discovery should bring answers. Instead, it shatters old theories and breeds new fears. Was Danielle ever in the woods at all? Did someone want them to find this now? One thing is certain. The mystery isn't over. The evidence, stained and silent, only deepens the shadows swirling around Danielle's disappearance. And somewhere out there, the truth waits, hidden, for now, just out of reach. Just as the town begins to process the grim discovery in the clearing, Masonville is shaken by another chilling event. Late one rainy evening, 17-year-old Jamie Price fails to return home after a study session at the library. Her phone goes dark. Her bike is found abandoned at the edge of the woods. Tires muddy, chain broken, the seat still warm. The echoes are impossible to ignore. Flyers go up overnight, faces haunted by memories of Danielle. Search parties mobilize, flashlights bobbing through the undergrowth where Danielle's shirt was found just days earlier. The local news cycles between grief and fear, speculating wildly. Is this the work of the same person? Was Danielle's case ever truly closed? As the investigation ramps up, officers revisit old evidence, re-interview witnesses, and pore over hours of surveillance footage. But clues are scarce. No footprints, no witnesses. Only the chilling familiarity of another girl vanished without a trace. Neighbors lock their doors, parents keep their children home. The woods become a forbidden place, their silence heavier than ever. Danielle's family, still raw with grief, joins Jamie's in agonizing vigils, candles flickering in a vigil that feels all too familiar. Rumors spread. A figure seen lurking near the clearing, strange lights at night, a car with out-of-state plates, but nothing solid. Nothing that brings Jamie back, or explains how two young women could disappear in the same small town, under nearly identical circumstances. As days turn into weeks, Masonville is left with only questions and fear. The pattern is undeniable. The mystery, once thought to be unraveling, now feels deeper, darker, and more unsolvable than ever. And somewhere in the heart of the woods or the shadows of memory, the truth remains hidden. waiting for the next chapter or perhaps to never be found at all. As Masonville reels from Jamie's disappearance, hope flickers briefly, then crumbles, when an unmarked envelope appears on the police chief's desk. Inside, a single page, typewritten, the words clipped and cold. The letter contains chilling details about Danielle's last known movements, details never released to the public. It taunts investigators. "You're chasing shadows. There were more before Danielle. There will be more if you fail." The letter closes with a cryptic challenge. "Find the truth before I choose again." No signature, no fingerprints. Just the echo of a threat that chills the entire department. But the story doesn't end there. Local journalist Marcia Linton steps forward, her voice trembling as she recounts a memory buried by fear. 2 years ago she received a similar letter, anonymous, typewritten, hinting at a missing girl never reported and warning her to stop digging. Marcia's statement is played for investigators. "I thought it was a hoax. The letter described a girl, a place in the woods, even a date. It matched nothing in the news. I kept it just in case. Now I'm not so sure." In the dimly lit police station, officers gather around the evidence table. A forensic analyst examines the new letter, comparing it to Marcia's old one. Detective Harris. "The typeface matches, same alignment, same pressure. Whoever wrote these, they're the same person." Officer Lee. "But why come forward now? Are they taunting us or scared?" Forensic analyst. "Look at the phrasing, the mistakes in punctuation. It's deliberate, wants us to see the connection." Detective Harris. "Or wants us to think there's a pattern, could be a copycat." Officer Lee. "Or someone who knows exactly what happened and is daring us to find out." Then, a final haunting piece of evidence, tucked behind the letter, a photograph. Danielle standing in front of an unfamiliar building. The date printed in the corner is weeks after she vanished. Her eyes are wide, the background is blurred, and in the lower corner, a reflection, a shadowy figure just out of frame. The letter's warning is clear. The mystery has just deepened, and somewhere the perpetrator is watching, waiting for the next move. The search for truth leads investigators to the edge of Masonville, where an abandoned building, long forgotten, sits shrouded in mist and silence. Acting on a tip, police pry open a warped cellar door and descend into darkness. Their flashlights sweep across crumbling walls until one beam catches something odd, a seam in the brickwork, a false panel. With a groan, the hidden wall gives way, revealing a narrow passage. Inside, the air is heavy, stale with secrets. The room is small, cluttered, and chilling. Scattered across a stained mattress are personal belongings. Danielle's charm bracelet glimmers in the dust. Jamie's battered notebook lies open to a page of unfinished thoughts. There are other items too, bracelets, hair ties, fragments of lives now lost. On a rusted desk sits a battered Polaroid camera, its film cartridge empty. The discovery is documented in a tense police transcript. Detective Harris. "We have multiple items here, tag everything, photograph before we move." Officer Lee. There's a child's shoe, that's Jamie's. I remember from the photos." Forensic analyst. "We need to get this processed, carefully, there's DNA everywhere." As word spreads, the families gather at the station. Their faces are drawn, hope and dread mingling in their eyes. Danielle's mother clutches her daughter's bracelet, tears streaming silently. Jamie's father stares at the notebook, knuckles white. Then a new voice emerges, a former caretaker of the building called in by police. His statement, shaky but clear, is recorded. Caretaker. "Used to hear things. At night, footsteps, voices. Sometimes a van would pull up real late. I never saw who came or went. Figured it was squatters. Once I found the lock changed on that back door, but I never had a key for it. I wish I'd said something sooner." But the room holds one more secret. Tucked beneath the mattress, officers find a journal, its pages filled with cryptic, frantic handwriting. The entries are disjointed, but a pattern emerges, references to the Watcher, instructions received, and chillingly, "Never alone in this." The final page reads, "If they find this, it's already too late. We weren't working alone." A new, terrifying possibility dawns. There may be an accomplice. The families cling to each other, the weight of fresh revelations pressing down. The room has given up its secrets, but the story is far from over. Somewhere in the shadows, answers and more questions await. The journal's final warning sends shockwaves through the investigation. Forensic teams work through the night, piecing together clues. A name surfaces, one scrawled in the margins repeatedly alongside cryptic sketches and dates. The trail leads to a reclusive figure, Thomas Redding, a local handyman who vanished from public view years ago. Police surround a dilapidated trailer on the outskirts of Masonville. Inside, dust motes swirl in the pale dawn light. Thomas sits at a rickety table, hands trembling, eyes darting between the officers. Detective Harris. Thomas, you know why you're here. We found your name in the journal. We know about the maps. Tell us what happened. Thomas, voice shaky. I didn't want to do it. They said I had to watch, that they'd come for me if I didn't. Detective Harris. Who are they? Who gave you the instructions? Thomas. Pauses, murmurs. The man in the van. He never showed his face, just slid notes under my door. Sometimes money, sometimes photographs. Detective Harris. You marked every disappearance on your map. Why? Thomas, voice breaking. To keep track, to warn myself, but I couldn't stop it. I heard them, at night. The watcher was always there, always watching. Detective Harris. Who else is involved? Thomas, rocking slightly. You don't understand. It's bigger than this town. There's more rooms, more watchers. Outside the station, a childhood friend of Thomas waits, nervously twisting her hands. Friend, Tommy was always quiet, but after his dad died, he changed. He'd talk about someone following him, leaving marks on his window. He stopped coming to school, started carrying that map everywhere. I thought he was just scared, but now, I think he knew something terrible. As evidence is cataloged, one item stands out, a dog-eared map. Red X's mark every site of a disappearance, the lines between them forming a chilling pattern, a web stretching far beyond Masonville. The realization settles in, this is not the work of one person, or even two. The conspiracy is larger, darker, and more organized than anyone dared believe. In the interrogation room, Thomas's haunted eyes flick to the mirrored glass. He whispers, almost too softly to hear, "You'll never find them all. The Watcher's always one step ahead. The investigation has cracked open something monstrous. And now, the race is on, not just for answers, but to stop a cycle that may never end." As dawn breaks over Masonville, the air is thick with anticipation and dread. Armed with new evidence, the entire community, families, friends, and strangers alike gather at the edge of the woods. Volunteers lace up boots and adjust headlamps, determined to end the nightmare that has haunted their town for years. I wake up every night hoping to hear my daughter's voice again. Today feels different. Like maybe we're not alone anymore. Maybe this time we'll bring them home. I've lived here 40 years, never seen the town come together like this. We're not giving up on our own, not now. Unit 3, report. Have you reached the north perimeter? Affirmative. North perimeter secured. Volunteers are spreading out, no sign of recent activity yet. Copy. Continue sweep. All units, report any anomalies. Stay in pairs. Hours pass. The search grid tightens. Suddenly a shout echoes through the trees. Over here! There's something. Looks like an old hatch. Command, we found a concealed entrance. Sending coordinates now. Requesting backup. Possible underground structure. All units converge on Search Team Bravo's location. Exercise extreme caution. Beneath layers of roots and earth, searchers uncover a hidden passage, dark, narrow, and lined with cold stone. It stretches beneath the town, connecting the sites of every disappearance. Shock and horror ripple through the crowd as the scale of the conspiracy becomes clear. All this time, they were right under our feet. We walked over them every day. My boy could be down there. As officers descend into the darkness, hope and terror walk hand in hand. The truth is closer than ever, but so is the danger. The final search has begun. What they find beneath Masonville will change everything. As the dust settles over Masonville, the truth finally comes to light. The hidden passage beneath the town reveals a network that preyed on the community's trust and silence. For years, the missing were hidden in plain sight, prisoners of secrets too painful to face. But then, a miracle. Danielle and Jamie, lost for so long, are carried out into the daylight. Their faces, though marked by trauma, shine with the fragile hope of reunion. The crowd erupts in tears and embraces, relief flooding the forest clearing. "I never stopped believing I'd see my daughter again," Danielle's mother whispers, her voice trembling. "Every night I set a place for her at the table. Now she's home." Jamie's father stands beside them, holding his son close. "We have a second chance, that's more than I dared pray for. Thank you to everyone who never gave up on us." The other survivors too speak through tears and broken smiles. "We thought we'd never be found," Jamie says quietly. "But we heard you, your voices, your footsteps, you brought us back." The police chief reads the final transcript into the record. Case hash 827, Masonville disappearances. All missing persons accounted for, perpetrators identified and in custody. Underground network dismantled, case closed. But for Masonville, closure is only the beginning. The scars of the past remain, etched into the hearts of every family, every friend who carried hope through the darkest nights. Healing will take time, justice has come, but so has a reckoning with the secrets they all carried. Still, as the sun rises over Masonville, a new chapter begins. The town, once fractured by fear, stands united in resolve and compassion. They have learned that the weight of truth is heavy, but not as heavy as the silence that hides it. And though the wounds may never fully fade, the promise of tomorrow is born in the courage to face what was lost and to cherish what was found. Just as Masonville begins to heal, another shadow falls over the town. Days after the survivors return, a new witness steps into the station, face obscured, hands trembling. The camera never shows their features, only nervous gestures, and the edge of a voice choked by fear. "I don't know if I should be here," the witness whispers, glancing toward the door, "but I saw Danielle. After she disappeared, weeks after, she wasn't where they said she was. She was somewhere else." The room falls silent. Investigators lean in, tension thick in the air. The witness hesitates, voice cracking. "It was a place I'd never seen before. Underground, but not like the tunnels they found. There were people there, people who didn't want to be seen." Their breathing quickens. "I heard her crying. She tried to call out, but someone stopped her. The witness's voice falters, eyes darting to the shadows. "If I say more, they'll know. Please, I can't." A chair scrapes. The witness stands abruptly, gathering their coat. "I shouldn't have come," they mutter, backing away. "It's not over. You think it is, but it's not." Before investigators can ask another question, the witness slips out the door, leaving only the echo of their warning behind. The room is left in uneasy silence, a sense that the truth, once thought uncovered, still hides in the deepest corners of Masonville. What did the witness see? What secrets remain buried? As the screen fades to black, viewers are left with a chilling thought: some mysteries refuse to stay in the past. In the quiet aftermath, as Masonville tries to return to normal, Danielle's husband, Mark, moves through their empty house like a ghost himself. Dust motes drift in the afternoon light, settling on untouched mugs and photographs that feel like memories from another life. One evening, while searching for something, anything that might bring him closer to understanding, Mark's foot catches on a loose floorboard in their bedroom. Curiosity and dread mix as he pries it open, revealing a weathered journal wrapped in a faded scarf. He sits on the bed, hands trembling, and opens the cover. Inside are pages of cryptic entries scrawled in Danielle's unmistakable handwriting. Some pages are filled with frantic drawings, eyes in the darkness, twisted corridors, a shadowy figure lurking just out of sight. Words repeat. "He's watching. Don't trust the quiet." The door beneath the stairs. Mark's breath catches as guilt and heartbreak wash over him. Why hadn't he seen her fear? Why hadn't he listened more closely? He traces her words with shaking fingers, haunted by the sense that he's reading a message meant for him alone. Flipping to the final entry, his eyes widen. Danielle's handwriting is hurried, almost illegible. "If you find this, it's not over. He knows about you too." Mark's resolve hardens. Grabbing his phone, he dials a number with shaking hands, one not saved in his contacts. As the line rings, his voice is barely above a whisper, raw and desperate. "It's me. I found it. I think he's still here. We need to talk. Now." As Mark stares into the darkness beyond the window, the screen lingers on the journal's final page. An ominous drawing of the shadowy figure, eyes burning from the paper. The secrets of Masonville are far from buried. At the Masonville Police Department, a sense of uneasy routine is shattered by the arrival of a plain, unmarked package. No return address, no fingerprints, just a padded envelope left at the reception desk while no one was watching. Officers gather in the dimly lit evidence room, their voices hushed. Inside the package, a single USB drive and a note, typed in block letters, "For the truth." Detective Alvarez plugs the drive into a secure, isolated computer. The room falls silent as the first file plays, audio crackling with static. Then a woman's voice, Danielle's, breathless, desperate, whispering, "He's here, please, if anyone hears this." The recording cuts out, replaced by the sound of heavy footsteps, a door creaking, and an unidentifiable, guttural noise that chills everyone present. A second file opens, blurred black and white images. A shadowy figure stands at the edge of a forest clearing, just out of focus. In another frame, a pale hand presses against a rain-streaked window. The timestamps match the night Danielle vanished. The investigators exchange uneasy glances. Detective Alvarez's voice trembles as he rewinds the audio, replaying the distorted noises, straining for clues. "It's like he wanted us to find this, but why now?" an officer whispers. Each new file raises more questions. Why are some images corrupted, as if someone tried to erase them? Who recorded the audio, and who sent the package? As the team pores over the evidence late into the night, fear creeps in. The sense that someone is watching, manipulating, always one step ahead, Frustration mounts. The evidence is both a lifeline and a curse. Proof of Danielle's terror, but maddeningly incomplete. The investigators realize the truth about that night is still just out of reach, and whoever sent the package is still out there, waiting. The screen lingers on the final image, a pair of burning eyes barely visible in the darkness staring straight into the lens. The hunt for answers is far from over. As the police wrestle with the chilling evidence from the package, another investigation is quietly unfolding in Masonville. Local reporter Emily Carter, notebooks worn and hands trembling, has spent sleepless weeks tracing threads that others refuse to see. Her walls are covered in yellowed headlines, faded photographs, and a map of Masonville scarred with red pins, each marking a name, each marking a loss. Emily's obsession leads her to the quiet corners of the town, knocking on doors that haven't opened in years. She sits in sunlit kitchens with trembling hands wrapped around chipped mugs. One by one, elderly residents share stories that have haunted them for decades. Stories of vanished children, of mothers who wandered into the woods and never returned, of strange men seen only at the edge of lantern light. Their voices crack as they recall the same unshakable details, the chilling silence that follows a disappearance, the way the air seems to grow colder each spring, the sense that something, or someone, is always watching. A grandmother clutches an old locket, her eyes brimming with tears as she whispers, "We don't talk about the woods, not since 1974. Another man, voice barely above a whisper, describes a shadow that slipped past his window when he was a boy, a shadow that matched the one Emily has seen in the police files. As Emily compiles their stories, a pattern emerges, a cycle of fear and grief repeating every generation, always ending in silence. The trauma is woven deep into the fabric of Masonville. Parents warn their children not to wander after dark, and the old playground at the edge of the forest stands rusted and abandoned. The pain is inherited, unspoken, but ever present. Emily's voice, heavy with empathy, narrates her findings. For decades, Masonville has lived in the shadow of something it cannot name. The fear is not just of what happened to Danielle, it's the fear that it will happen again, that it never truly stopped, and that the wounds left behind will never fully heal. As the screen fades to black, the faces of the townspeople linger, their sorrow, their fear, and the hope that finally, after all this time, someone is listening. The clock strikes 7 as the people of Masonville file into the old town hall, their faces etched with worry and exhaustion. Under flickering fluorescent lights, the room fills with the townsfolk. Parents clutching faded photographs, police officers standing stiffly in the back, and Emily Carter, her notebook pressed tight to her chest. At the front, the mayor calls the meeting to order, but his voice trembles beneath the weight of unspoken fears. The townspeople demand answers. Some shout accusations. At the police, at the mayor, at each other. Old wounds are torn open as secrets spill out. A deputy admits to lost evidence. A neighbor confesses to seeing Danielle the night she vanished, but never coming forward. A mother breaks down, sobbing that she warned her daughter about the woods, but never believed the stories herself. Emily rises, her voice steady but thick with emotion. She lays out the patterns she's uncovered, the cycle of disappearances, the chilling similarities across generations. Her words hang in the air like a storm ready to break. Some believe her, others scoff, desperate to cling to the comfort of denial. Tensions flare, friends argue, families turn on each other, and the fragile unity of Masonville threatens to collapse. The mayor begs for calm, but the room is a tinderbox of fear and suspicion. Suddenly, the lights flicker and go out. Gasps and shouts echo in the darkness. A cold wind snakes through the open windows, carrying with it the faint sound of laughter, or is it crying? Someone swears they see a shadow move across the far wall. Panic bubbles at the edges of the crowd. When the lights finally sputter back to life, a single chair at the front of the room sits empty. It was occupied moments ago. No one saw anyone leave. The meeting dissolves into chaos. Outside, the night is colder than ever, and somewhere in the darkness, the mystery waits, unresolved. Masonville is left divided, haunted by secrets and watched by eyes no one can see. The screen lingers on the empty chair as the music fades, leaving only the sound of the wind and a question that refuses to be answered. As dawn breaks over Masonville, the first rays of sunlight spill across the quiet streets, painting the town in gold. The chaos of the night before lingers in memory, but something has shifted, a sense of possibility, of healing, that wasn't there before. In the town square, families gather, drawn together by shared loss and the hope of answers. Emily Carter stands at the center, her notebook now closed, her eyes bright with determination. She speaks softly, inviting everyone to share their stories of love, of loss, of fear, and of courage. Slowly, voices rise, one by one weaving a tapestry of truth that binds the community together. Parents embrace, finding comfort in each other's strength. The mayor, humbled, promises transparency, vowing never to let silence breed secrets again. The police chief returns lost evidence to the families, apologizing for the pain it caused, and pledging to protect every child as his own. A small memorial is built at the edge of the woods where Danielle and the others vanished. Flowers, photos, and letters are placed with trembling hands, not as symbols of defeat, but as seeds of remembrance and hope. The townspeople gather there, lighting candles that flicker against the morning breeze, their flames a promise that these stories will never be forgotten. Emily lays the final piece of the puzzle before the crowd, the truth behind the disappearances, a decades-old tragedy, misunderstood and shrouded in fear. Now brought into the light, the cycle is broken. The pattern ends here. Neighbors who once turned away now hold each other close. Old wounds begin to heal. Laughter, tentative at first, returns to the park benches and front porches. Children play in the sunlight, watched over by a community that has learned the cost of secrets and the power of unity. As the sun climbs higher, Masonville stands together, stronger than it was before. The mystery is laid to rest, and though scars remain, they are reminders of what was lost and what was found. The camera lingers on the memorial, a gentle wind stirring the candles, carrying with it the voices of those gone, and the hope of those who remain in Masonville. The darkness is finally lifted, and a new day begins. This is not just the end of a story, it is the start of healing, and the promise that together, no shadow is too deep to overcome. Thank you for watching.